Okay, so this video is a continuation of factoring trinomials part 1. So here I'm just going to give you some more examples of how to factor some trinomials where you have any possible combination of signs. So if you remember the last ones, we were looking at like x squared plus 8x plus 7. So in this example, I have both of my signs are positive. So I would think of two numbers that would multiply to give me 7, but add to give me 8, and that would be 7 and 1. So this will be x plus 7 times x plus 1. So that's like what we did in part 1. Now, we don't always have all of the signs as positive. So something else that could happen is I could have x squared minus 4x plus 3. So I could have minus and then plus. And so if that happens, then I'm still looking at whatever this last number is, that's what I'm multiplying to get. And no matter your combination of signs, that's what that last number tells you. Now, I mentioned this before, this sign in front of it, I look at that as telling me what I need to do to get that number in the middle. I need to add to get a 4. So I'm multiplying to get 3, but adding to get 4. So I first might think, okay, that's 3 and 1. And I'm just going to kind of write those over to the side. But notice that that's not just a 4, that's a negative 4. And also, I'm multiplying to get a positive number. So that means my two numbers have to have the same sign. So the only way that can work is if I have a negative 3 and a negative 1. Because negative 3 plus negative 1 would be negative 4. Negative 3 times negative 1 would be positive 3. Okay, so if I have a minus in the middle, plus at the end, then both of my signs are going to be negative. So this will be x minus 3 and x minus 1. Or remember that the order of the parentheses doesn't matter, so I could write x minus 1 first, and then x minus 3, and that would be equally correct. Okay, so let's look at another one like that. X squared minus 8x plus 12. So I need two numbers that multiply to be 12, but they're going to add to give me 8. And so those numbers will be 6 and 2. But because of the signs that I have, I need them both to be negative. Because negative 6 plus negative 2 will give me negative 8. Negative 6 times negative 2 would give me a positive 12. Okay. All right, something else that you might have. Let's say I have x squared plus 3x minus 18. So we're looking at this last number. I need two numbers that will multiply to be 18. Since this is a minus, I'm going to think of it as subtracting to get this middle term. Now this is not the way that everybody explains this. Some people explain them as negatives instead. I've found that negatives tend to confuse people a lot of times, and so my students make fewer mistakes if they think of this as subtraction instead. So I need two numbers that will multiply to be 18, but subtract to give me 3. And so off to the side here, I'm thinking out loud. I'm just thinking, oh, okay, that's going to be 6 and 3. Now I need to figure out how I'm going to subtract these numbers. I need to make sure that I get a positive 3, because that's a plus 3x. Well, the only way I'd get a positive is if that's a positive 6 and a minus 3. Okay, so that plus sign there, that's the sign that my bigger number is going to get. So this is going to be an x plus 6 and an x minus 3. Now, I've mentioned before that the order of the parentheses doesn't matter. I could write x minus 3 and then x plus 6, and that would be fine. But I have to make sure that the right sign goes with the correct number. So the plus has to be with the 6, and the minus has to be with the 3. If we did it the other way around, we would not get the right answer. Okay, so let's do one like that. So let's do x squared minus 5x minus 14. So I need two numbers that will multiply to give me 14. That's a minus, so I'm going to think of it as subtracting to give me 5. And I'll worry about the signs in a minute. So I need two numbers that will multiply to be 14, and they're going to subtract to give me 5. So that's going to be a 7 and a 2. If I look in front of that 5, it's a negative 5. So I need to make sure my 5 is negative. That means my bigger number needs the negative. So it's going to be a minus with the 7 plus with the 2. Or you could think to yourself, which way will give me that negative 5? 2 minus 7 or 7 minus 2? Okay, and 2 minus 7 is the way it's going to have to be. All right, let's do one or two more. So let's say I have x squared minus 7x minus 30. So I need two numbers that will multiply to be 30, but subtract to give me 7. So two numbers that multiply to be 30, but subtract to be 7. That's going to be 10 and 3. I need to make sure that I get a negative 7. So I'm going to put a minus with a 10, a plus with a 3. All right, and one more example. Let's do x squared plus 9x minus 22. So I need two numbers that will multiply to be 22, subtract to give me 9, since that was a minus there. All right, so that's going to be 11 and 2. I need to get a positive 9, so plus 11 minus 2. Okay, so whichever sign you're trying to get when you subtract, that's the sign that your bigger number needs. Okay. All right, now one more important thing to note. All of the problems that we have factored so far, they have all been just x squared at the beginning, a 1x squared. If you have any kind of problem where there is something besides just a 1x squared, like maybe it's a 2x squared or a 3x squared or whatever else that may be, then you're going to want to watch another video. There's a video where I give you examples of those too.